Hey guys, welcome back into another video, and today I'm going to show you guys my 8 forma all-in-one utility Kavat build. Of course, some of you might be thinking, that's overforma-ing. No, it's not. For me, it's worth it, but also a waste of time, because I might have did one extra forma onto this build, but whatever. Before I rant about that, let me go through some housekeeping about the Smeeta Kavat. If you want to skip to the build, the time code will be displayed on your screen right now. First of all, if you want to breed a cat, you must first have an incubator power core, 10 Kavat genetic codes, and most importantly, the Kavat incubator upgrade segment, which is dropped from Haika Masters. And you can also get the Kavat genetic codes from scanning the Kavats in the Orokin Derelict. And as you can see on the footage right now, this is how a Kavat looks like. To scan it, you can use either the codex scanner or the synthesis scanner. Both of them works, but it's best to go with the synthesis scanner because of the vector thread widget, which reduces scanning time, and also the cross matrix widget, which has a chance to scan the target twice, which will give you 2 Kavat genetic codes. And basically this saves time when you want to farm, and you might even get extras for your second Kavat breed. And speaking about second, there are 2 types of Kavats, the Adaza and the Smeeta Kavat, which is the one featured in this video. Smeeta can equip its own special set of mods, which is Charm and Mischief. The mod Charm is basically what makes Smeeta the RNG cat. According to the mod, it says that every 27 seconds it has a 28% chance to give you one of either 6 buffs that the Smeeta Kavat can provide. First of all is the crit chance bonus. It basically sets your crit chance to 200%, and every attack you make will become an orange crit. Even some warframe abilities are affected by this as well, but not all. And the second buff would be the energy refund, self-explanatory. When you cast your skill, it refunds energy. The third buff would be the instant reload, and do I have to tell you, the name says it all. It instantly reloads your gun, and it only happens once. The fourth buff is the double pickups and affinity, self-explanatory as well. The fifth would be the reinforced shields, which basically negates the next hit taken from an enemy, and while doing that, it will also add 150 overshields to your warframe. And the sixth one would be the rare resource. Self-explanatory again, it only gives one rare resource depending on the planet's drop tables. For example, when I'm in the void, it will actually drop argon crystals. And do note, there's actually more about this mod that you should know, but I'll explain it after showing the build. Now let's go over to Mischief. It basically spawns a decoy of your Kavat to draw attention. This is a very minor crowd control ability, but it's able to keep the Kavat alive. At the same time, it also grants invisibility to your Kavat, and as long as the decoy is alive, the invisibility on your Kavat will remain, and vice versa. Okay, if you don't know what that means, it's basically if the decoy dies, the invisibility dies as well. And now let's go over to the build. This is my 8 forma all-in-one utility Smeeta Kavat build. And if you ask me, would you consider this as overforma-ing? I would say no and yes. No, because it's all for flexibility, and yes, because I might have added one extra forma. Anyway, before I explain about these 3 blank spaces here, let me do the mandatory mods first. Charm is the main reason to use Smeeta Kavat. It's mandatory. Prime Animal Instinct will basically provide loot data and also enemy positions on your minimap. Very useful mod, and also a must-have on your companions. Fetch works just like vacuum, but it needs your Kavat to be in range so that it will actually work. Link health and shields are very important in this build because they increase the survivability of your Kavat by a lot, especially when you use a frame with high HP. For example, Inaros, Nidus, or even Korra. Even a high shield frame like Hildrin works as well. Tag Enhance basically synergizes with Charm because it increases the duration of the buffs, and it's more beneficial for the double XP and pickups buff, as it makes your double XP buff to be 156 seconds instead of the original 120 seconds, a solid 36 seconds for you to get extra XP or pickups. Or even the crit buff, which becomes 36 seconds instead of 30 seconds, which means 6 seconds of extra fun. And finally, Pack Leader. When you use a melee weapon and hit an enemy, it will basically heal your Kavat. It's very useful, and also it's very beneficial in the long run, especially when you want to keep your Kavat alive in long missions. Now let's talk about the 3 blank slots in the build. You can put whatever you want on those slots, but there is 2 presets or combos I would recommend. First of all, you can put bite, maul, and swipe. You can also consider replacing swipe for Mischief because while the Kavat is invisible, it can also attack enemies, which is really great. And if it attacks an enemy, the invisibility won't be broken. And so, using this combo, it allows your Kavat to actually deal damage. Your Kavat will be able to cover your back sometimes and to definitely kill some enemies. It's quite useful for low level mission gameplay, but it's very not suited for high level gameplay. Mainly because a lot of factors that come into play like armor, shields, damage reduction and all that. If you want to have a companion that can actually do damage, it's more better for sentinels to handle this job because it can kill enemies around you and to also spread status damage. In other words, it can also spread your sarin spores. You can also use a Helmim's charger, which is really great at dealing damage. One ram and it can basically kill an enemy, even a high level one as well. But without getting out of topic, let's get to the second combo, which is Mischief, Sharpened Claws and also Sense Danger. This combo makes your Kavat to become a utility machine. In other words, your Kavat will have a lot of features and users in a mission, because it will be able to get rid of enemy armor while highlighting other enemies on your screen, and those are what Sharpened Claws and Sense Danger can do respectively. I find this to be more useful than the previous combo because Kavats, I do think that Kavats are made for features and for a lot of utility instead of dealing damage. Another thing is, if you want to run syndicate missions or if you just want to open up all the chests and lockers, then you can consider replacing Sense Danger for Scavenger if you want. And what Scavenger does is that your cat will have 90% chance of opening up a locked locker. Some of you might be thinking, why can't I just use swipe with Sharpened Claws to get rid of 4 enemies armor instead of 1? Well, sorry for popping your bubble, it doesn't work like that. Sharpened Claws will only affect on the first target only, while the rest won't be affected by Sharpened Claws, but it does work for pounce, which makes all the enemies targeted to be stunned. So you can consider using this combo, this synergy, for minor crowd control as well. It could come in handy sometimes, but I can't guarantee it because the AI of the cat can be sometimes very stupid. Now we're done with the build, let's get back to Charm. Let's go through some of his buffs in detail. Double pickups and affinity is a very intriguing buff because according to Warframe wiki, charm buffs are stackable. So that buff I just mentioned is actually stackable and it is stacked multiplicatively. Okay, to give you more better context, for example, if I get 250 XP from an enemy while that buff is active, it will give me 500 XP. If stacked twice, it will give me 1000 XP. If I have an affinity booster, it would give me 2000 XP, which is really great when you want to farm focus or XP. Or if you have a resource booster, it could also help you to gather more resources faster and in larger quantities as well. And just like what I mentioned earlier, with Tech Enhance present in the build, it will extend the duration of this buff from 120 seconds to 156 seconds. Extra 36 seconds for you to get more XP, which is more than enough, especially when you have a nuking frame on your team. And what's even better is that it also affects Kuva and Void Tracer's rewards. It is able to double or even quadruple the rewards, but only before you receive them. So this stackable buff is really great and all, but the chances of it happening is really low. However, it can still happen, and since it's a free affinity and resource booster for like 2 minutes, that's probably the reason why the buff chance is that low. If not, we'll all be abusing it and the game will be very unbalanced and unfair. And finally, synergies. There's only one I could think of right now, and it's also what I mentioned earlier in the build. It's basically to use a high health frame like in Naros or Nidus. You can also use a high shield frame like Hildring, depending on which one you want the most, since it all synergizes well with Link shields and Link health. And that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching this. If you guys liked it, then be sure to leave a like, write a nice comment, and please consider subscribing. If you want to support me, then be sure to check out my Ko-fi page. The link is in the description below, so you can check it out later. Thank you for watching once again, and I'll catch you guys in another video. Goodbye.